Hello and welcome to Homestead Properties. I'm Russell Huffman, your landlord and property manager. We're going to be going through some of the items in this lease that you may or may not understand. This is not meant to be all-inclusive, so if you do have questions, please save them till the end, and we'll be more than happy to cover some of those. Skipping down to paragraph number 4 in the lease briefing, and that's concerning rent. Rent is due on the first day of the month, payable before the third day of the month. Otherwise, there is a $15 late fee plus $5 per day. Coming to ending your lease, you must give written notice at least 30 days prior to the end of your lease at that time. Your security deposit, whichever that amount may be, is being held for the idea that the landlord will receive the apartment much back in the condition that they received it in. You'll of course be concerned about getting your deposit back, and it takes us up to 30 days to refund a deposit, and the reason being is we have so many leases that end like yours in either May, June, or July. If anything had to be taken out of your deposit, it would be put into a deposit deposition report, and again, that is important why you do give us a 30-day notice and a forwarding address so that we can get your leasing, or rather your deposit, to you. When it comes to the use of the premises, of course, we want to all act like adults, not offend our neighbors, be noisy, and so forth. Anything that requires my intervention on your behalf or the behalf of your neighbors is obviously a concern to us. Some of the things that are covered here is obviously is that we allow no more than 10 people for a gathering, and that does include the tenant. No parties that extend beyond midnight. And when we're talking about a party, we're talking about a nice adult gathering, not where alcohol is the main purpose of this gathering, but maybe a barbecue and you're having a few beers. But we do not allow gatherings with the main purpose as being the consumption of alcohol. When it comes to barbecue grills, if you're an upstairs tenant, you are not allowed to store barbecue grills upstairs. Downstairs, they have to be at least 10 feet away from the building before ignited and cool to the touch before you bring them back inside. On the subject of pets, no pets, not even to visit. If we can't hold it underwater for more than 10 minutes, you're not allowed to keep it inside your apartment. And this means boyfriend, girlfriend, mom, and dad, if they bring an animal to your apartment, even to visit, it is an automatic loss of your deposit, and you are subject to eviction. I would go over each and individual rules and policies with you, but you are being handed those. The main things that I'm going to touch on is kind of for your safety, and the main thing being the continued maintenance of your smoke alarm. And you'll notice in the lease that it is in bold, underlined, and the reason being is the city of Stephenville inspects 10% of their apartments every year, and if yours happens to be the one that is inspected and your smoke alarm does not work, you could be fined up to $500 for such an offense, because under the terms of this lease, you are taking responsibility. Paragraph 8 covers utilities, and that means no unauthorized use of landlord-paid utilities. Now, we do pay for your water for drinking, for bathing, doing your dishes, but we do not pay for your water to fill up kiddie pools, to wash your cars, and so forth. So again, you need to be advised of that. When it comes to alterations or improvements, there will be no painting, carpeting, or wallpapering without my written permission, and to my understanding, that of course would not be allowed. You have to understand by the destruction of the premises, and I advise you to go ahead and read this, if the cost of repairs or some natural disaster happened to the building that was more than 10% of the value of the building, this lease of course could be terminated because of an act of God, natural causes, or so forth. Maintenance of the leased premises is basically a phone call away, and all you've got to do is call our main office at 254-968-4116 for minor things, like if your toilet's not filling up the way it's supposed to, you're standing in your shower and there's a lot of water and it's not going down the drain properly. Those are things to immediately contact us about, because the quicker we can address a problem, the quicker we'll be able to solve it, and it won't turn into something, you know, of a major issue. When it comes to the condition of the premises, you're going to be receiving a move-in inventory form. You have 48 hours to turn that back into the offices here at Homestead Properties, and what that is a protection of your deposit. You go through the apartment, you don't have to write us a book. You can make a check mark or write okay, but we want to make sure that things in the apartment work, that there's no holes in the wall. If there were staining or maybe a minor burn in the carpet, those are things that you would want to list. You bring that back to the office, we'll make you a copy. You're even welcome to take pictures and store it in your file if you'd like to do that. When it comes to emergencies, don't hesitate to use my cell phone number at 254-485-5236, and we'll put a lot of these numbers back at you, and again, you'll receive my business card. The main thing being is that you're able to contact me in the event that, you know, your toilet did overflow or there was water dripping through your ceiling. Those are emergencies. Those are judgment calls. But again, you're welcome to call me about problems that you do have with your apartment. Assignment and subletting, default by the tenant, and multiple residents or occupants. We're going to cover all three of those real quick. You want to move out of your apartment because you got a great job offer and someone wants to take it over. We would have to be a part of that process, approving that person. They have to fill out an application, just as you have done. When it comes to multiple residents or occupants, the lease that you're signing is either for one or two people, and changing those terms, moving somebody into your apartment, is something that the landowner would probably want to renegotiate your lease at potentially a higher rate. If you're wanting to move someone into an apartment, they'll have to fill out an application, they'll have to be approved, there may be a potential for a higher deposit, and again, a change in your rate of rent. When it comes to parking, there are designated parking areas, but they are not marked by number. We do ask that guests park in separate areas, and I will brief you personally as to where guest parks and so forth, and visitors. Reletting by the landlord, this is an instance where, of course, you let somebody take over your lease completely because you move out of town, you may charge them some more money. That is not allowed under the terms of this lease, and again, we would have to be involved in anything that's of that nature. When it comes to the right of inspection of your apartment, myself and my agents have the right to do that at all reasonable times, and what that is generally is a maintenance inspection. We come in every 45 to 60 days, we change out your air conditioner filter for you, we may check your smoke alarm, look underneath your sinks, and what we're trying to do is be totally proactive here so that we can find things that you may have problems with that you have not noticed. Paragraph 21 covers the liability of the landlord in regards to locks. Lock yourself out of your apartment late at night, whenever. We will come unlock your door for you if you contact us. Now, there is a $20 fee that is associated with this, and if you don't have the money at that time, the main important thing is that we get you inside your apartment. When it comes to liability, locks, security, and insurance, and particularly insurance, think about renter's insurance. If you don't know about that, I advise you to contact an insurance company, get a little more information on it, talk to one of your friends, perhaps your parents. If your parents own their own home, they may be able to extend their renter's insurance for you at little or no cost to their insurance policy. And again, that's something that you do want to check out. Paragraph 22 covers abandoned property. If you bring it with it, take it with you. Mattresses, broken chairs, easy boy recliners, couches, those kind of things, if they are left in your apartment, there is a disposal fee associated with this. They charge us at the dump, you will be charged. If you leave rings, maybe some earrings or something like that, something we believe is of sentimental value to you, you'll have 30 days in which to come and pick it up, because we'll of course contact you and tell you that we have found those type of items. You do agree under the terms of this lease to grant the landlord an express contractual lien provided by law. That is paragraph 23, and again, I advise you to read that paragraph, and of course, read your entire lease. Reimbursement by the tenant. There are some things that are considered to be normal wear and tear. People wash their hair, they use all types of conditioners, soap, sometimes that clogs up a drain. We expect those kind of things to happen. It's when feminine items or cardboard or flashlights or the lids off of candles end up in a toilet, they get flushed down there and it won't come out. We have to call a plumber, and then it would be billed to you in that instant, because that is not considered to be normal wear and tear. If you put something in your toilet that's so gross, or you've dropped it in there and you can't get it out, call maintenance before you flush, because it will save a lot of problems. Again, if you break screens, break windows, those kind of things, those are things that could be taken out of your deposit and of course would have to be repaired. We do not allow garage sales, apartment side sales, whatever you want to call them, a poolside sale. If your vehicle becomes for sale in the time that you're here, and as long as it moves every day, we don't have a problem with that, but it can't be parked prominently on the corner, with it for sale sign, because we are limited in our parking in our areas. The acceleration clause is the most important in regards to protecting your credit. Move out in the middle of the night, turn off your electricity, don't take care of your lease obligations. Under the terms of this lease in the state of Texas, they can add anywhere from 50 or excuse me, I'll look to tell you 35 to 50%, meaning that if you owe $1,000, you could owe up to $1,500 if you don't take care of your rental obligation. Now, on the opposite side of that coin, young people looking to buy a house 3, 5, 6 years from now, they'll be able to call Homestead Properties and say, I paid my rent on time, I had basically a revolving line of credit with them, and of course that would be a feather in your cap. I would go over each and individual, like the waiver of breach, time of essence, binding of errors and assigns, rights and remedies, Texas law to apply, but those are standard contract language in the state of Texas to include attorney's fees if there were ever any type of problem. I will discuss your renewal fee and renewal option in person with you, or the property owner will. And again, if you do have any further questions, please feel free to ask those. And that basically concludes our lease briefing at Homestead Properties. Again, I do remind you that it's not all inclusive. It's just a highlight of the things that we'd like you to know, different things. And if you do have any additional questions, I'll be glad to answer those for you.